Hi guys, welcome back to my Exvius guide. Now I'm gonna talk about Veritas. Many players ignore him because Warrior of Light. However, is he really worse than Warrior of Light? Let's take a look at his stats. Like you can see that his stats is about the same with Warrior of Light. He has a little bit lower health, but the defense difference is big, 20 points. So I prefer Veritas stats. For magic affinity, Warrior of Light can equip Curaja, but Veritas doesn't have any advantage for having level 7 black magic compatibility. For passive, both of them get the same defense plus 30%, but Veritas win in terms of health boost. He gets 30% and Warrior of Light only 20%, which make Veritas win the health war even though his base health is lower than Warrior of Light. However, the biggest difference is Veritas get that spirit plus 20%, which is very important because many enemies use that magic or hybrid attack. Veritas also have very high counter attack rate. This will be useful to deal some extra damage and filling that summoning bar when it is one of the missions you need to complete. Veritas also resists against paralyze, which is nice thing to have. Like other Veritas, he also absorbs his main element, Earth. He also has better in terms of safety skills. Okay, he gets 100% defense and spirit boost when his health below 30%. Warrior of Light only get 100% defense boost. I think we can agree here that Veritas is win in terms of stats and passive. Let's take a look at his abilities. The first is Guardian. This is what makes him compared to Warrior of Light. It is an AoE tanking skill. It has higher chance than like is with us, which is only 50%. This one has 60%. However, it leaves him a little bit more vulnerable than Warrior of Light because the damage mitigation is smaller than like is with us. It only reduced 35%. However, I think it's okay because you use tanker for protecting your allies. Also, 15% damage mitigation won't make that much difference, especially because Veritas has better stats than Warrior of Light. He also has other skills which help him to mitigate the damage from the enemies. That skill is Guard Smite. It will attack your enemy and give you 50% damage mitigation, which is insane. Guardian lasts for 3 turns, so it's okay to use this for next upcoming turns if the enemy keep using AoE attack. This damage reduction combined with that Guardian damage mitigation will make him really durable. You can also use Defensive Barrier. If you are afraid the enemy attack won't trigger his Guardian because it's only 60%, so this Defensive Barrier is useful to guard others just in case his tanking skill doesn't work or the enemy use magical attack. It is something that Warrior of Light doesn't have. I know you may have others who able to do this kind of thing, for example, Riku. But thing like this is always nice to have. He also has Steel Body, which buff his defense and spirit by 50% and give 20% damage reduction to himself for 3 turns. But I think it is better to use Defensive Barrier because it affects all your characters. 50% defense and spirit buff is not that hard to achieve, so yeah, if you have support, I believe you already able to reach 40%. Not mentioning you have that 30% safety threshold, which boosts 100% of those stats. He also has 100% provoking skill called Incinerating Press. This skill lasts for 2 turns, which is make it superior then Warrior of Light Bravely Presence. 2 turns mean you are able to do other helpful things such as supporting your party and cast that Guardian. And his good LB. The downside of this skill is insane amount of MP, 45 MP. Without any auto refresh or other MP regen ability, this will hurt his MP pool so bad. So I think you shouldn't use this often. You use him for AoE tanking, so use that Guardian instead of this. Use this to protect MP draining or instant death attack, not for damage, so you shouldn't use this frequently, okay? There are also another useful support skills. The first is Omni Block. This will increase your resist against stats break for 3 turns. This will be useful if you use Nicole. This will make you able to buff your party without any drawbacks. Okay, I'm just kidding. This will be useful if you have a character like Lunette, who reduces his own defense after boosting his attack. There are also bosses who are able to break your stats, so when that happens, he will be useful. So yeah, you can use him to fight Twin-Headed Dragon, but I don't think you need it, okay, because yeah, that trial is not hard. He also able to buff Earth resist to all allies by 100%, so you will be invisible when fighting Earth element attack. He doesn't need it because he can absorb the Earth damage. His LB, Demon Wall, is also good. Your party gets 54% damage mitigation, but it's only useful against threshold attack because it only lasts for 1 turn. This is worth to be leveled up, but not your priority, especially if you use Istola in your party, because I think it's better to level up Istola. You don't need to pay attention to the Demon Wall damage because he is a tanker, so it will deal pathetic damage, okay? He also learns Stonja, but like other physical character, his magic is too low to be able to utilize the magic, so just ignore it. Enough about the skill, let's talk about equipment. He is a tanker, so you should search a weapon that boosts his health, defense, or spirit. You can get Blast Hammer from the story mode, but if you are veteran and have Mighty Hammer, then you want to use that because it increases your health by 15%. There is no Trustmaster reward. there is no Trustmaster reward weapon for him because there is no Trustmaster weapon that increase your defense or spirit or health. You can replace Grand Helm with Judge Helm, depends on the battle. If you need elemental resist, then use Judge Helm. For some ailments, Grand Helm is good. So yeah, enough about equipment. Let's compare him with Warrior of Light. Okay, so I will get a lot of hate now. In my opinion, he is better than Warrior of Light in terms of tanking capabilities. Better stats and that damage reduction abilities will help your party a lot. But he has serious flaw, MP pool. Warrior of Light able to counter enemy magic with MP restore, so he can cast that debuff and provoking skill with less worry. But still, it is same problem for Warrior of Light too. But yeah, Warrior of Light can manage the MP pool a little bit better. To use both of these characters, you need to have an MP battery. Warrior of Light Arm and Armor Eraser are useful, but Earth Veritas offset them with Defensive Barrier and his LB. Remember that some enemies cannot be debuffed, and your Warrior of Light cannot do anything in that battle except for tanking. But you can always buff your party with Defensive Barrier. So my conclusion is Earth Veritas is definitely one of the best tanker in the game. You cannot deny that Earth Veritas is superior than Warrior of Light in terms of tanking capabilities. Right now, I prefer Earth Veritas than Warrior of Light because I already have other characters to debuff the enemy. I have Link who able to break enemy attack and magic like Warrior of Light. There is no need to argue which one to use, simply use the one that fits your party. It is really situational. However, if you already have Warrior of Light, then no need to hard pull Earth Veritas because Warrior of Light is enough for the game. If you don't have Warrior of Light, then maybe you should spend some tickets to get one of the best tanker on this game. Also, unlike Warrior of Light, Earth Veritas Trustmaster reward is really good for your attacker. So even if you get him for the second, third time, and so on, you won't feel getting trolled by Gami. I cannot say that for Warrior of Light. The second time I get him, I really want to throw my phone. Because Warrior of Light is definitely... Yeah, Warrior of Light Trustmaster reward is definitely not a blessing. Even the name say Light's blessing. What you call this blessing? This is more like a curse in my opinion. So I give Earth Veritas 10 out of 10. One of the best budget character in this game for tanker category. So yep, I think that's all. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more Final Fantasy Brave Exvius guide. Bye bye guys.